35 million Americans have already cast their ballots in this fall's presidential election, and Egypt is proposing a brief ceasefire in Gaza and an exchange of hostages and prisoners. Good morning, I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. Former President Donald Trump held a campaign rally yesterday at New York's Madison Square Garden, but inflammatory remarks from some of his guest speakers are now threatening to overshadow Trump's own campaign speech. NPR's Danielle Kurtzleben reports.
Comedian Tony Hinchcliffe started the rally with remarks that included a joke referring to Puerto Rico as a, quote, floating island of garbage. Another speaker seemed to imply that Vice President Harris is a prostitute. All told, more than 4 hours of speakers preceded Trump. During his speech, Trump doubled down on recent comments calling some Democrats the enemy from within and suggesting he'd use the military against them.
And when I say the enemy from within, the other side goes crazy, becomes a sound. Oh, how can he say? No, they've done very bad things to this country. They are indeed the enemy from within.
Trump is rallying supporters across swing states this week. Danielle Kurtzleben, NPR News, New York.
The Trump campaign has released a statement saying that the comedian's joke about Puerto Rico does not reflect the views of former President Trump or of the Trump campaign. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris spent the day yesterday crisscrossing Philadelphia. NPR's Asma Khalid has more.
The vice president specifically was trying to energize black and brown voters, focused on energizing voters in the key state of Pennsylvania. Here she is at a rally in Philadelphia.
We must not wake up the day after the election and have any regrets about what we could have done in these next 9 days.
Harris had a series of smaller retail stops, visiting a black barbershop and later a Puerto Rican restaurant, where she spoke about her plan for economic development and investment in the electrical grid on the island. Asma Khalid, NPR News.
With about a week until Election Day, some 35 million voters around the country have already cast their ballots early for this fall's election. NPR's Hansi-Lo Wong reports.
If you're planning to vote by mail, the Postal Service is urging you to check your state's deadline and return your ballot at least 1 week before that date, which may be coming up very soon now that the last day of voting is about 1 week away. Absentee voters could also consider turning in their ballot at their local election office or at any available drop box. Today is the last chance for eligible voters in Colorado and Washington to sign up online to vote in this election. Those who miss this deadline can still register in person through Election Day. There's also time to sign up in person in the swing states of Michigan, Nevada, and Wisconsin. But Wisconsinites, take note, you can get registered at your municipal clerk's office through Friday, or wait to register and vote at the polls on November 5th. Hansi-Lo Wong, NPR News.
Egypt is proposing a brief ceasefire in Gaza and an exchange of some hostages and prisoners. As NPR's Daniel Estrin reports from Tel Aviv, no progress on a ceasefire is expected before the U.S. general election next week.
Egypt's president this weekend proposed an initial 2-day ceasefire and the exchange of 4 hostages in Gaza for an unspecified number of Palestinian prisoners in Israel. Egypt is proposing further steps toward a permanent ceasefire. Israel and Hamas have not officially responded to the proposal. The CIA chief and Israel's Mossad spy chief have met in Qatar to discuss these efforts. An Arab official in the region said Israel rejected the proposal. Another official briefed on the talks said Israel is considering the Egyptian proposal, but waiting for the results of the U.S. elections before moving forward. The official spoke anonymously to discuss the closed-door talks. More talks are expected this week. Daniel Estrin, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
You're listening to NPR News from Washington.